It's not tea, it's coffee, but I wanted to be in the same mood as, like, Mr. Gary Deb and the maid, so welcome back. Let's get to snooping. That's a full-size cannon. Oh my god. I didn't even notice the cannon there at first. I noticed the apron or dress first, so you know where my priorities lie. What's it doing here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? That's a little more than a toy. The army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon about the house. We should all get one, yeah. It would be very, very useful indeed. Be prepared, I always say. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy. She's like, you have a good point. Do you think there may be trouble brewing, Mr. Gary Deb? Always is. Take Joan here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Dries them over the barrel, you see. They dry very well on the cannon there, Joan tells me, which rather proves my point, I feel. It's been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame. That's funny. Let's look at these books. I notice you have a pile of books here, Mr. Gary Deb. Do you enjoy reading? Ever experienced a London winter, boy? The nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of the fire with a jolly good book. Oh, there's a copy of Rant's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Gary Deb enjoys the adventures of Sherlock Holmes too. The great detective has a great many followers, it would seem. It would seem. But they're not true stories, they're fabricated. At least like a little bit. That uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it? It's clearly been well looked after though. Oh. That old thing. Not much better than rags, really. What? Why did you say that? Wore that ceremonial garb at my retirement bash, you know. But I'm not one for dwelling on the past. Would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, doesn't hurt to have the odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it? Oh, I see. Oh, is that a sword? That's cool. Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. There's like wine bottles, some china, and then this is a sword, some pictures. And these are actual Canon, like, what are they called? Artillery shells? I don't know. Yeah, let's look at this. That looks like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased on a very grand banner. Yeah, it's displayed with some pride, I would say. Although it bothers me that it's not straight. Yeah, all of them are kind of like crooked. Like them! What, that old thing? I should be glad to see the back of it, but the general would turn in his grave if I disposed of it. The wall's the best place for it. Keeps the bally thing out of my way. So it's just been polished to shine by accident, I suppose? Yeah, let's go, call him out! There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look, let me see. It says, for distinguished participation. It's a participation trophy. Sounds like the kind of honors even I could be in line for. Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by the number of medals to his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles. Common knowledge. Oh, we can look at them. Oh, mortar shells. They're enormous. I hadn't noticed. What are they doing here? It's to put in the cannon. Oh, those old things? A couple of little rounds I accidentally fired into the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of colorful regiment folklore, that incident. You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells? Oh, what? Well, I wouldn't say deliberately exactly. They're only scrap iron after all, usually just thrown away, I believe. But you never know when things might come in useful, don't you? Useful for what exactly? Yes, well, you know. Joan here did manage to knock one of the bally things on my foot the other day while she was dusting. Whoops. Hadn't shed a tear since 1869. Nice. Before then, you know. Maybe reconsider throwing them away? Is that why he has a cane? I don't know. Oh, let's look at this. Portrait of himself. That portrait of Mr. Gary Deb is glaring at me, I swear. Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Gary Deb as well? Yeah, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well. Interesting. Ah, yes. Seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. In point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need. The Lion Ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements. Sasato-san doesn't pull her punches, or her throws for that matter. Get it! Okay. Oh. What's back there? Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely. Yeah, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. Ooh, there's a secret. What could be behind it, I wonder? Take a look. Do it. I'm gonna have a, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a very quick look. Let me, there. Just a little peek. Maybe let's not, Mrs. Sato. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Nice. Let's go this way. Up! Hello. Ooh, little cakes. Oh, look. What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up, it looks more like someone has half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. It is Mr. Gary Deb's custom to take 2 cakes with his tea. That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Only? Well, naturally, I would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Gary Deb doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joan, you shall have to tidy up. How magnanimous of you. That's a big SAT word. Look at this crockery on display here. Everything's broken. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Okay, Susato, get your shit together. Although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is, oh dear, it's in pieces. It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice. Ah, I wonder. Perhaps the cannon was fired at it? Yeah, probably something like that, but let's not delve too deeply here. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Poke him in his butt. What's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Sherlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. Whatever were you doing over by the window? I am given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Well, Keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. And one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he... I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Not ready for it, apparently. Do you mean Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. Oh, my eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. Oh, I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo? I think so. There's just enough time for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Let's go. Okay. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. Oh, got him! I'm afraid, sir, that is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I've been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon. The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. What? Oh, that would explain the broken shit, the pictures that are like crooked. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruhodo, look, he's quaking. He's shaking in his boots. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. Unbelievably. How could you possibly? How could I possibly know? You mean to inquire? Well, I'm a bit of a hot shot. I'm so intelligent. IQ 9000. The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. Oh, her cheeks were so jiggly. And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Let's go. The game is afoot. Topic 1, the nature of the beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Oh, and his pipe is broken. Thus we are faced with a question, what form might this beast take? In these guns? For a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. Is something wrong with his face? Or, I don't know. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by the lion statue. It was a lion? Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. Dang! A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. Yeah, there's something like a hand slap on his face. Yet, living with such a beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me that one glance in your direction. It is? Oh, your dress pocket, gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Oh. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadeb, at Batty's Circus, a traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. That's fun. I want to go to a circus. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I've made my point. Mic drop. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Just happily like, I'm a lion. A rampaging Asiatic lion. Topic 2, the aftermath. Now, Mr. Garadeb. It is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Oh, is that clear? Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress that this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Okay, is it? Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. No, I think someone hit him. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man. I simply... But what we must now ask ourselves is the true cause of this pain. What are they looking at? And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. What is it? Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. Oh. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. Interesting. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well, Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? Oh, I didn't even notice that. The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. No, that's clearly been... Okay, wait. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. There's a candle there, so it's clearly caused by fire, I think. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Oh, and then she's looking at him. Oh. This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Okay. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. What? Oh, it's missing the candle. There's no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it, or was it not, once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? I think that was a myth, though, wasn't it? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I don't need to spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There's only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. That's not it. Silly. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Okay. Let's start from the top. What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garadeb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. Yeah, right. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. He's like, you're welcome. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too. Okay. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in again, but could I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it? Again. Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Gary Deb and his maid would have been hurt, or worse, eaten. That's where you're stuck. No doubt, the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I've ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. My dear Mrs. Sato, it occurs to me with some regularity, that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, don't say it, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Great Britain's love for tea is so strong it makes anyone who land there want to drink tea. What a glorious notion. I mean, I've never been there, so I can only imagine. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. Thanks for volunteering, Ryunosuke. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight massage. That's all Mr. Sholmes' deductions need. You can do it. She's so supportive, thank you. Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. That's good. That's a very good sentiment. At least that's what I want to believe. Hopefully it's not just a total waste of time. Let us start again from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Nice. Oh, he's so cool. Hold it. Okay. Nature of the beast. A rampaging Asiatic lion. It certainly shouldn't take a great deductive to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Okay, yeah, right. Thus, we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Okay. For a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. There's a photo behind the line, though, so can we look at it? Your furtive glance, Mr. Gary Deb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Gary Deb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yeah, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it then? We must follow Mr. Gary Deb's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. Okay, what's back there? Oh. What is that? Is it a baby? What's this photograph? Or wait. Is that... Oh. Is that his wife? Oh. It appears to be from Mr. Gary Deb's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? Oh. He does, but you can't make out his bride. Yeah, what happened? No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. Oh, there was totally a handprint on his face. They must have gotten into an argument. Something happened. She got into a fit of rage, broke everything, slapped him across the face, and now she's gone. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply there. Are you kidding? I would absolutely delve deeper in that. We're gonna put newlywed bride. Yeah. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely. Okay. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garrett. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Okay. Oh, indeed. Wait, it kind of looks like the maid, though. Is it the maid? Are they pretending? What is happening? Indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Yeah, speaking as a woman, I'd love to be called a beast. Thank you. Honored might be stretching a point. Too late. The fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garrett. It can't be. Okay, that photo, he looked a lot younger, so. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Yeah, it is. Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam. Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Yeah, your dress pocket. Okay, gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyway, Mr. Sholmes is quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Gerdeb anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Gerdeb's wife could be. Let's see. Oh, hello. Oh, we can see the front door. Let's see. Is it in her dress pocket? Or can I do this? No, I can't. What am I looking for? Teapot. Oh, wait. Oh, the ring! That wedding ring! It's totally the maid. Are you kidding me? Your wedding ring! It's a pretty wedding ring. Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Still calling her a beast? It's not cool. Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. There it is! For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Gerdeb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you're no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Gerdeb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Gerdeb herself. Word. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmised, this is the wife. This is the wife, yes. My Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a... He deserved that one. It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By jolly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Yeah, here in London, one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though, in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are a folly. I think so too. You mean Mr. Garydeb has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garydeb? Wow. Only in company, obviously, but listen here. This must remain a secret. Oh, that's their secret. Tip-top secret, please. Nice. The raging wife of Mr. Garydeb. Okay. Aftermath 2. Topic 2, Aftermath. Okay. It's totally not a lion. It was totally the candle. Now, Mr. Garydeb. It is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Yep, okay. We got it. Your head haze wevy. The pain you feel being revealed. Oh no, the pain being revealed by the slap in the face. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. But Mr. Garydeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garydeb's pain is tangible though. What could that pose of his really signify? It was a slap in the face. Boom! Take that. Nice. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade. Was you, Madame Joan Garydeb. Oh. Well, yes. Oh my god, she's so cute. What the heck? You've been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. Oh. That's silly. Get it? How the blazes? How did you work that out, men? Whoa, his face is really thin. Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? What didn't he do? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garydeb to fly into a rage. Oh, it was all the bills. Bills. Always gets us in a fit of rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. It's the bills. Is it, though? Did Mr. Sholmes say that the bills were all for lion fodder? Yeah, but now we've established that the lion never existed, which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all the food was Mr. Garydeb's wife, Mr. Naruhodo. She's a person, not a thing. Yeah, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yeah, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? Why wouldn't? Just kidding. I'd love to know the answer to that question. Okay, let's see what else is here. What's... Oh, there's a kissy mark. Oh, has he been unfaithful?
Take that!
Oh my god. Wait, shit, did I fuck up? No! What causes the most pain to any man? The answer, of course, is dropping your bookmark and losing your place in the book you're reading. Or worse, dropping someone else's bookmark and getting a slap for it. That deduction was wanting in every way. Shit! Yeah, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Shit! I'm sorry, I'll try again. Okay. Shit! Okay, maybe we need to look at it. There it is. Okay, we had to look at it first. Shit. Someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here. Mr. Gary Deb is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I knew it was that. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. He's been unfaithful. And look next to the signature here. Lip marks made with a lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas. Oh dear, I'm sorry. So this bookmark is actually a love note then. There we go. That's more like it. Okay. Present. Take that. Nice. Yes, it is this love note that has given risen to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Oh, she's pissed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here. What? She slapped him again in the same spot. But I don't know the Bali woman. You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. Wait, what? Oh yeah, because it's addressed to James, but his name's John. It was just in there, you say? And then wait, what's the name of it's Soseki Natsume. So this is just to a James. Who's James? That's right, that's what I've been— oh, jeez. A likely story. Now listen here, Joan, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at that secondhand place and that note must have already been in there. So, the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? That's right, oh, she's pissed. A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you'd forgotten, is John. That's funny. A likely story. Oh, are you questioning my name now? Oh, she slapped him again. And there we have it. Arouse the suspicions of the female heart and you unleash a beast with a most ferocious bite. Nice. Got it. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? She was so pissed she bit into the rug. The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, very expensive. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? It was the candle. She set it on fire. This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. It's not the— what? Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. But surely Mrs. Gary Deb didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Shulm's deduction that we need to fix. We need only to follow Mrs. Gary Deb's gaze, and that will tell us the real answer. Alright, let's see what we can see. Yes. Okay. Candlestick? Candlestick? This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very, very unstable. It looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Yeah, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the 3 missing from its holder? So... Can I get it? The carpet here has been ripped to shreds. Yes, and according to Mrs. Sholmes' deduction, the tear matches those made by an Indian lion's teeth exactly. Oh, look here. What is it? If you look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks. Oh, yes, you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in the normal sense at all. Yeah, let's rethink with that in mind. Okay, but should I present the candlestick then? Wait, okay. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick.
Take that!
Nice. Thank goodness. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Nice. Most illuminating, my dear fellow. And of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. By this candle! Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks. It would appear that this room was a scene of a little marital altercation. You tried to set the place on fire, bitch. Mrs. Girdeb's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face. Oh my god, she slapped him so hard that the force of her strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds, the carpet was alight and the whole corner of the room in flames. Yes, for the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire! Good point, good point. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there's but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Nice. Mr. Sholmes, sir. I salute you. Nice, we did it. Carpet scorched by a small fire rather than a starving lion. Yes! Elementary! Great, great work. It's these dashed long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Okay, I'm gonna end the video here, and then we'll continue off with what he has to say next. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye, guys.